Hi guys, and welcome to a new reading vlog. So last weekend I went outside to read for a little bit because I wanted to capture the fall trees and fall leaves before the weather gets too cold. Like this weekend the weather is like 3 degrees Celsius. What is that in Fahrenheit? Like 30 something Fahrenheit. So it's too cold to be reading outside right now. So when I went out to read last weekend, I brought 2 books with me. The first one is A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping. I've already completed this book and I also have a reading vlog for it. If you're interested to hear my thoughts on this book, then please do check out my previous reading vlog. The other book that I brought with me to read is Red City by Mary Lou. This is an adult urban fantasy, and the magical system in this book is based on alchemy. The way alchemy works in this world is that you can transform or transmute a material to a different material. So you're like changing the physical or chemistry or biological components of a material and making it into a different material. So to give you the most like simple basic transformation is like you're transforming water to ice. That is the most simple example I can give you. So I know that this author has written a bunch of YA dystopian books in the past and I've heard really good things, but I've yet to try a book by her, so I was very excited to read this book. Going back to what this book is about, we are following 2 main characters. The first one is Sam. Sam comes from a poor family. It's just her and her single mother. But as a child, Sam feels content with her life with her mother even though they're poor. But as she grows up into a teenager, things turn badly for them financially. So Sam tries to get help from this very wealthy woman. This woman is the leader of this like very big business organization, but behind the scenes they're actually involved in a lot of alchemy and illegal work, so a bit like a gang slash crime syndicate. And then the other main character we're following is Ari. When Ari was young, a stranger saw the potential in Ari to become a powerful alchemist. He took him from his home to train Ari, and this stranger is actually working for another organization which is the rival gang to the organization that Sam is involved in. And Sam and Ari, they met when they were teenagers in like normal school, but they never share with each other that they're involved with alchemy or involved with these, organization gangs. And when they graduated from high school, they kind of lost contact with each other. And then as adults, they're working for their respective gangs. And now these 2 gangs are kind of at war with each other. So Sam and Ari are now on opposing sides and enemies. And guys, I already finished this book. I read it in like 2 or 3 days. It was so good. I think this book is now my most favorite fantasy book of 2025. This book kept me up all night. I was reading to 2 or 3 a.m. and I had to get up to go to work in the morning and I had no energy for work. I felt like the writing and pacing was great. I love all the characters. This book actually reminds me a little bit of the Greenbone Saga, and I absolutely adore that series. It's definitely a top 5 best fantasy series that I've read. But I do think like this has more romance compared to the Greenbone Saga, and also this is a little bit easier to digest. Like I don't think the Greenbone Saga is hard to read, but I feel like if you read mainly romantasy, this one would be easier to get into. And now let's talk about the romance in this book. First, I don't want to give you guys the wrong impression. As I mentioned, this is an urban fantasy, so we focus a lot more on the political side, the learning about how alchemy works. We're focused on the rivalry between the 2 gangs and all the scheming. So I do think like the romance is more on the sidelines. As I mentioned, Ari and Sam, they met while they were teenagers in school. So their romance is a bit of that like childhood friends to lovers, a bit of first love, and also Romeo and Juliet vibes. If there's any book that I can recommend you guys to read this year, is this one. Okay, read this book. It is so good. Honestly, blew me away. Very surprised. Ate this up. Okay, done. Now let's move on because we need to read other books. So the next books that I was thinking of reading, I have two. One is Alchemy of Secrets by Stephanie Garber. So I have read the Carable series and I also read Once Upon a Broken Heart series. For me, the Carable series have a very special place in my heart because when I got back into reading fantasy again, Carable was one of the first books that I picked up, so it always has a special place in my heart. And between finishing the Carable series and starting Once Upon a Broken Heart, I have read a bunch of really, really good fantasy books in between. So when I picked up Once Upon a Broken Heart, I did feel a bit underwhelmed by that series. So I don't know how I'm gonna feel about this one, but I've heard that it's really fast paced, and what I remember reading her books are it's very easy to read her books and they're short, so I could finish this like in a day or two. Yeah, and I don't know what this book is about except there's probably gonna be like a lot of secrets and you can't trust anyone. And then the other book that I have borrowed from the library is Thorn Season by Kiera Azar. This book came out last month. It's a YA romantasy. I don't know what this book is about, but on Goodreads, it says here Shadow and Bone meets Deselection in this first book in Kiera Azar's sharp, sexy, and twisty debut YA romantasy trilogy. That's all I want to know, and we're gonna go into these books blind, and I will come back to summarize these books and give you my first thoughts on these books. Hi guys, so I have now read to about page 236 in Alchemy of Secrets. Going into this, I thought this was gonna be Hollywood historical fiction, but it's actually set in our current time in our modern world. The main character, Holland, while she was an undergrad, she took this class on folklore. The professor who taught the class teaches the student a lot of myths and legends. And then when Holland was in graduate school, she also became a teaching assistant for this professor. At the beginning of the book, Holland is on a date with this man, and she saw something that reminded her of one of the myths that her professor taught in the class. And the myth is about this person called the Watchman. So the Watchman can tell you the exact date and time that you're going to die. Holland was curious and she followed the trail to find the Watchman. And eventually the Watchman makes contact with her and tells Holland that she's going to die the next day at midnight. Now the Watchman can also tell you what you could possibly do to extend your life. So the watchman told Holland that if she wants to extend her life, she needs to find this object called the alchemical heart. The alchemical heart is also another myth or legend. And while Holland is trying to navigate her current situation, a strange man shows up and tells Holland that Holland's sister actually sent him to protect her. She's not sure if she can trust this stranger. Overall, I find the story a little bit of a reminiscence to Caraval. There's so many twists and turns to sort of confuse and throw off Holland. But me as the reader, I felt that I was super entertained. I didn't feel confused. I didn't find the story messy either. And the way the story is written or structured, you kind of go back and forth between present time and the past where she was taking the class, and also sometimes you go to her childhood and also the times when she spent with her sister. Even though Holland doesn't have much time left, I don't feel very anxious for her. I just enjoy reading about the myths and legends that the professor taught them and just having a lot of fun kind of discovering, or rather rediscovering, the world with Holland, as there are magics hidden in the world. There are some potential male leads and I don't think I have any strong feelings towards them yet. I'm just curious to know about their backstory. I mean, there is one male lead that I'm rooting for to end up with Holland, but I think I need to know more details about their previous life. Yeah, I was super hesitant to go into this book because I thought it was historical fiction set in Hollywood. But as I said, it's set in the modern world and I am just super entertained by this book. So I'm probably gonna finish it this morning. Oh, and I also forgot to mention that this is an extremely fast read, so you will fly through this book. So yeah, I'm gonna keep reading today and then I'll come back with my final thoughts. And I've also started reading Thorn Season. I'm about 17% into this book, but I'm not gonna talk about it right now. I think I'll let you guys know more about this book once I finish Alchemy of Secrets and once I'm a bit further into this book. Yeah, so now I'm gonna make some coffee and start reading. Hi guys, so I have finished reading Alchemy of Secrets, and my thoughts on that book is pretty much the same as what I've mentioned previously. It is a fun book, and if you have read Stephanie Garber's other books, I would recommend you checking out her adult fantasy. And also if you want a fantasy book set in our modern world with myths and legends and secrets and mysteries and treasure hunting, then I recommend that you pick up this book as well. Moving on, I have made it to about 31% into Thorn Season. And this book reminds me of Heartless Hunter and also The Rose Bargain. The main character, Elisa, she is a noble, and her father is a descendant of this line of hunters. And what these hunters do is they hunt these people called the wielders. However, Elisa's mother was a wielder. So she and her father and some people close to them are kind of hiding this secret that she is a wielder, because in the kingdom that they're living in, wielders are being captured and persecuted. Elisa is currently in her 18th season. I think that means that she's 18 years old. And in their kingdom, at the end of the 18th season, you kind of have to swear fealty to the king. So usually they will attend court for a couple of weeks, and then at the end there is a sort of closing ceremony where they will swear their fealty to the king. Elisa initially decides that she's not going to attend court because it would be an unfamiliar environment for her, so there is a high chance that she could be exposed as a wielder. But the king, he's kind of young. He's sort of like wanting to court Elisa, and also there are some events that happen that lead her to have to attend court. Also, there is an ambassador who is currently visiting their kingdom. He is from a country where wielders are allowed to be free and not persecuted. So now Elisa is kind of caught in the middle between the king and this ambassador. The magic system in this world I find a little bit difficult to explain. The wielders have this thing called a spectra in them, which is kind of like an extension of their body, and they can use it to, I guess, to like wield things. Like you could pick a lock or trip somebody or kill somebody. There is some like politics mixed in the story as well. And the romance, I'm not too sure how I feel about the romance. There are kind of like multiple male leads, but I think I know who Elisa is going to end up with. Yeah, to be honest, overall, I'm not too sure how I'm feeling about the story. I feel like the writing is fine, and it does have the formula of what I would enjoy in a romantasy book. However, I just don't feel drawn into the story. I feel like I'm just reading the words, but I'm not really experiencing the story. And I also don't feel very connected to the characters. So unfortunately, I think I'm going to soft DNF this book for now. I think maybe I'm just not in the mood to read this kind of story right now. Maybe when I'm more in the mood, I will pick this back up and probably I will enjoy it better at that time. So I'm going to end this reading vlog here. I hope you guys enjoy this video of me reading some new fantasy releases. Thank you so much again for watching, and I will see you guys next time.